Welcome back to my Overwatch 10th anniversary special. Now, remember in the last video, we're going through my top 10 favorite heroes during the first 10 years of its lifetime. We already went through 10 through 6. And now, we're going through 5 through 1, basically my top 5 most favorite heroes from the first 10 years. So here we go. Number 5 on my top 10 favorite heroes of the first 10 years, Reaper. A former Blackwatch commander, former Talon agent, now an independent mercenary. This hero, or rather villain, take your pick, has ghostly abilities that can make him immune to damage. He can step between shadows, which could make him one of the deadliest heroes in the game if used correctly. I personally like this guy because when he's close range, his damage is really good, especially against tanks. He is a flanker, which benefits from 75 additional health picked up from health packs. Pretty simple. He has that along with Vendetta, Onron, Genji, and of course Tracer. His passive he gained, I forget, a long time ago, which replaced the orbs that he gets when he gets a kill, the Reaping. Pretty simple. 25% of the damage he inflicts on enemies, he heals. And it's very nice, especially when you're very close range and you need some survivability. This passive's a good one. His primary weapon is one of my personal favorites, the Hellfire shotguns. And let me tell you this, if you're very short range and you're very close, it can do a ton of damage. And like I mentioned before, this is one of the reasons why Reaper is considered a tank killer, because you could do a total of 115 damage per shot, or to 34.5, I should say. Just reading from one on the stats here. And that makes it even worse when you can get a headshot on someone. His special abilities is one of the reasons why, 2 of the 3 abilities he has here are why he's a flanker. However, one ability, you could do more burst damage. That is Dire Triggers. You use the secondary fire, you can fire a volley with long range accuracy from both Hellfire shotguns, although just at the cost of 2 ammo. If you're looking to try and finish someone off quickly, this would be the ability to go for. I wouldn't do it from at the beginning because it does have a 6-second cooldown. Or unless you're feeling confident in killing off an enemy. His Wraith form allows him to become invulnerable and move faster. However, you cannot shoot at all just to balance that out. So whether you're trying to evade enemies, try to flank, or just be simply invulnerable, Wraith form is right there. One of his biggest flanking tools is the Shadow Step, which will teleport you to a targeted location with a 10-second cooldown. So let's say if you're trying to reach a Widowmaker, or just someone in the back line, like a healer's, Shadow Step is a really good tool for Reaper. This is where it gets fun, because his ultimate ability is known as Death Blossom. Think of him as pretty much a human Beyblade in this one. You damage all nearby enemies. It's 185 damage per second per enemy. Or each enemy ends up receiving 185 damage per second if they're close. The radius is 8 meters, so keep that in mind. This is really good. To time this right, you pretty much have to catch the rest of the team off guard, or just Death Blossom anyone engulfed in a Graviton Surge. That's something I like to do sometimes. But Death Blossom is one of the deadliest abilities in the game if timed correctly. Just keep in mind it cannot be manually cancelled. His minor perks are really good too, whether you want to go for movement or more health. Lingering Wraith grants 40% movement speed for 2 seconds when you leave Wraith form. Or, if you want to go for some more health, Soul Reaving, think of it as his old passive ability from back in the day. You collect Soul Globes from dead enemies to restore 50 health. But keep in mind, each orb only lasts 8 seconds, so make sure you pick them up before it's too late. Personally, I gotta go with Soul Reaving on that. I like having more health, so I can be ready for the next fight. Now, for his major perks, both of these are pretty good if you can use them correctly. Shadow Blink causes Shadow Step's cast time and cooldown to be 25% faster at the cost of the range being reduced by 25%. So if you're thinking about just shadow stepping and trying to escape a little more, this could be a good one to go with if you can just time your shadow steps correctly. Or you can go Trigger Finger, which will refresh Dire Trigger's cooldown whenever using an ability or reloading. So let's say if you have 2 ammo left, use the Dire Triggers, and then have to reload. The Trigger Finger will cause Dire Triggers' cooldown to be refreshed. Personally, I'd go with this one. Pretty much self-explanatory. So if you're looking for a hero that can just shred tanks, flank the back line, take down supports, or just make everybody miserable with a Death Blossom, Reaper is a really fun hero to go with. Also, one of the 21 original heroes included in the game's release. Still one of my favorites to this day. Number 4 in my top 10 favorite heroes of the first 10 years countdown, Juno. A medic and navigator who originally came from Mars, who was added to Overwatch on August 20th, 2024. She is a highly mobile hero with a focus on versatility, and with main focus on AoE and combined healing and damage. Ever since 2024, besides a few other healers, I've tried her once, and I've had a lot of fun playing as her because her kit is a lot of fun. And the character's personality is fun as well. She is a survivor healer, meaning a movement ability being used will activate a passive healing regeneration. And she has the Martian Overboots, which is her passive. While she's airborne, you can press jump again. In other words, she just pretty much can double jump, and you hold jump and you can hover as well to slow down your movement falling speed by 3 meters per second. Her main weapon is the Meta Blaster. It's a burst of fire weapon that can heal allies and even damage enemies. It's pretty simple as that. And shots per volley is at 12 for a total of 180 ammo. If you're pretty accurate at this, you can pretty much do really good healing, or you can get a headshot. You can do some more damage to enemies. However, unlike most other heroes, it's only a 1.5 times damage boost for damage only. So that's pretty much, and for damage, there's 2 values of 7.5 to 2.25 per round, total of 90 to 27 per burst. It's all about how well you can time your shots. And she's got 3 nice special abilities at her disposal. The first one is Pulsar Torpedoes. Each shot does 85 damage, or 85 healing, depending on who's hit. But for allies, it's another 50 over time. It's a lot of good timing on this one. You gotta make sure you use it when you're on a big crowd and not much on a small crowd, because if it's a swing and a miss, it is a 10-second cooldown before you can use it again. And the cooldown does start, however, when the projectiles are fired, not when you're aiming. Glide boost, you just glide horizontally and you have increased movement speed. Pretty self-explanatory. You pretty much could use this mostly to escape danger or try to get back into the fight to help your allies out. Next up, combine that maybe with your hyper ring. It's a ring that is deployed that increases the movement speed of allies that pass through it. And the ring lasts 6 seconds. And the movement speed increase is 3 seconds. And how much is that movement speed increase? How about an increase of 50% of your movement speed, that is. This can be really good to get yourselves back in the fight, or use that to just help speed up your allies to help them avoid incoming fire a little better. This is a very versatile ability in my personal opinion, and I kind of like using it when I'm on the point. Finally, it's Orbital Ray. Her ultimate ability, which she can call down a ray that can travel forward, which heals allies and increases their damage. Healing is 85 per second if you're in the area of the orbital ray, with also a 30% increase in damage. Now, personally, I like to combine this, but I like using this before trying to use my torpedoes to get some quick damage or even get some quick kills. And it's also one of my personal favorite ultimate abilities in the game, because it can also pierce barriers, walls, ceilings, and floors. Finally, we get to her perks, which are some of the best perks of any heroes in the game. Some of her minor perks do include Familiar Vitals, which lets your pulsar torpedoes lock onto allies 35% faster, which could help your allies out in a pinch, or if you want to get locked on, which reduces the cooldown of pulsar torpedoes by a second for each enemy hit. Now, think about it. A 10-second cooldown. If you can hit all 6 enemies, that could become a 4-second cooldown, and you can get another pulsar torpedo off quickly. Personally, really depends on the situation. If you're one to help heal your allies faster, Familiar Vitals would be the one to go with. Or if you want to use your pulsar torpedoes more often in general, Locked On would be the one to go for. You just gotta be a little aggressive against enemies using it. Now, where she really stands out is her major perks. One of them is Faster Blaster. While you're using Glide Boost, the Meta Blaster will fire continuously, which definitely would be useful whenever you're wanting to heal allies and don't want to wait for another volley. You want to fire continuously. It really helps with her healing output and damage if you can stay accurate with your shots, but personally, I'd stick to using continuous with healing. Another one she has is Liftoff. Remember the Martian overboots that I enjoy? The double jumps? But that becomes a triple jump. So anybody want to go for higher grounds with Juno? Liftoff's a really good one to go with. Both major perks are really good, but personally I go with Faster Blaster because I love continuously firing the Meta Blaster. So if you're looking for a versatile, just outright fun support hero, Juno is a really good one to go with if you can use her correctly, because she could help turn the tide of a battle by keeping her team healthy. And especially with that orbital ray, you may want to watch your stuff or plan your next move carefully. Number 3 on the top 10 countdown of favorite heroes from the first 10 years of the 10th anniversary special is Ramatra, leader of Null Sector, and an Omnic who will go through great lengths to achieve peace for the Omnic race. This is a hero that released on December 6th of 2022, so 3.5 years ago at the time of this video. This is a stalwart tank, and for very good reasons. Sure, he reduces knockback and slows recede because of being a stalwart, but he is so much more than that. And there's a very good reason Ramatra is one of my go-to tanks. Well, besides being a hero not in the top 3 of all time being played. And yeah, obviously. His main weapon is the Void Accelerator, which does 5 per projectile. But keep in mind that the ammo is 100, so you can do up to 500 damage pretty much per clip on this one. So pretty much it's 125 per second with no damage fall off, by the way. And then you go to his special abilities. One of them is a Void Barrier, which you just pretty much create a barrier at a targeted location. Whether it's just like with Sigma, but while it's like you could move it, his is instant, and the duration lasts 4 seconds with a maximum range of 35 meters and barrier health at 1,000. So it's pretty much situational. Where do you want to place your barrier? Do you want to keep it close to you to protect your allies, or close to enemies to disrupt them? Next up is Ravenous Vortex. This is like a surprisingly very useful tool at his disposal. It looks useless, but not really. It creates a slowing vortex on the ground, which slows not only slows enemies down, but you can pull them down as well, and you can detonate it early. As of recently, this is a very handy tool to finish off enemies, or combine them with one more ability or the ultimate ability, which we'll go over later. This is one of the reasons why I enjoy Ramatra. His Nemesis form, which goes from range to melee, gaining bonus armor as well. So, which gives him a simple pummel ability. Each punch does 65 damage. So that 65 damage doesn't seem a lot. But the speed of that is 105 meters per second, which is not the reason why, but his rate of fire is 1 attack every 3/5 of a second. Which, take that and make it 108.33 damage per second. And guess what? His punches ignores barriers, and it pierces enemies too. And it's not reflected when blocked by deflect, even though Genji's deflect can still block it. So that's a little bit of a good news, and you can cancel it at any time. But keep in mind, it has an 8-second cooldown once you get out of Nemesis form. And speaking of which, the block allows you to take 75% less damage. When you hold on to this, this is a very handy tool to protect your allies from damage, or even protect yourself from ultimate damage. Let's say if you get caught in a Dragon Strike from Hanzo, or getting sliced by Genji's Dragon Blade, for example. Or you can even save yourself from a D.Va's self-destruct if you still have full health. It's very handy. However, just keep in mind there is a 50% movement speed penalty for that. So, but either way, this is one of the best defensive tools in the game. Finally, you want to make your opponents suffer like you have? It's Annihilation. When you enter Nemesis form and you create a deadly swarm that lashes out at nearby enemy, which normally it lasts a minimum 3 seconds if you can't find any opponents to be near you. But if you can stay with enemies within a 13 meter radius, this thing can last up to 20 seconds and the damage is 35 per second. You can use it offensively, you can use it defensively, but if you're going to be aggressive, just make sure you're getting properly healed. With the punches combined with Annihilation, you could make yourself a sharp double-edged sword, or, especially if you're nano boosted, or if you're the only one, there, but if you're nano boosted, you could be the ultimate shield that can just contest points and make your opponents suffer 35 damage per second. There's a reason why this is one of my most favorite abilities of the in the game, and with good reason. Finally, we go over his perks. His minor perks does include Relentless Form, which, while Nemesis form is active, eliminations extend the duration by 1 second. It's very handy if you're really good and aggressive in Nemesis form. Or you go for Prolonged Barrier, which Void Barrier's duration and size is increased by 25%. If you're more on the defensive side or more balanced with your Nemesis form, Prolonged Barrier would be the one to go with. Personally, I go with Prolonged Barrier because I'd like to make the duration longer and the size of the barrier increased. But yeah, that's just me, because I'm a little more defensive with Ramatra most of the time. Finally, we go to his major perks. One of them is Nanite Repair, which Ramatra heals himself for 75 health per second while within Ravenous Vortex. It's very handy if you're wanting to heal yourself, or if you're wanting to go for some more damage, go with Void Surge, which Void Accelerator periodically releases a burst of 6 additional projectiles during continuous fire, which each projectile is 5 per pellet, 30 per burst. And of course, headshots doubles the damage, and it's 2.2 degrees spread. Honestly, either one's really good. It just depends on the situation in this rate. Either way, you're looking for a nice bulky tank that's kind of versatile, but a little bit more on the defensive side. Ramatra is a great hero to go with. I enjoyed him since December 2022, and I still enjoy him to this day. Number 2 on my top 10 favorite heroes of the first 10 years of Overwatch, D.Va. You remember when I did my first anniversary special and D.Va was my top favorite? There's a good reason why. Initially, she was number 1 after 1 year. Because of how much fun she is. Personality, gameplay-wise. And even after 10 years, she's only went down 1 spot to number 2 because there is a new hero that took the number 1 spot, which I'll go through later. But here's a reason why D.Va is still in my top 2. She's a very good offensive tank, gets in your face, and yeah, she's got a very fun move pool here. For starters, she's an initiator tank. So when you use a movement ability, she gains 50 health instantly. And even if you're taking damage mid-heal. And that's in the course of a second, by the way. So that movement ability could save your life. And the fun fact about it, she's in her mech initially. But when she loses all that health, which in roll queue, it's a total of 650 health, I want to say. I could be wrong. But 650 health. She loses all that. She's ejected from her mech. And she's in pilot form. And she's only at 150 health. Which obviously she loses that. She dies. Pretty simple. Her main weapons in her mech are her fusion cannons. Unlimited ammo, bottomless clip. Sure, it may not be much damage, which can do up to 2 per projectile, 22 per volley, and with a fall-off range of 10 to 20 meters. This is more meant to be used up close to try and finish off an enemies, because it's a shotgun style hit scan. Outside of her mech, she has a light gun which does 14 per shot. Don't let this fool you. If you're not careful, Pilot Mode Diva can pretty much eliminate someone from a fight. And it's 20 per clip. So yeah, just like I said, she can defend herself still. So do not underestimate. Next up are her special abilities. And she has 3 of them. First up is probably her most famous one. Defense Matrix. So it costs 33% per second, with it regenerating 16% per second when not in use. With a max of 3 seconds, it can be able to be used if you use up all of its resources. The max range this thing has is 10.3 meters. What does it do, you ask? It blocks projectiles. And yeah, that's very simple. And it can also block a lot of projectile style ultimate abilities like, you know, an upcoming Blizzard, or Iliari's ability, which I forget the name of that, which I'll have to look it up later. Or even Graviton Surge. This thing is very, very good at what it does. And also takes good timing to pretty much cancel an opponent's ultimate ability off. Next up are her boosters. Pretty self-explanatory. You boost. The duration's 2 seconds. You could travel up to 24 meters. You get an extra 12 meters per second when you're traveling. And pretty much it. And you can also hit an opponent for 25 damage. So yeah, out of the way, losers. And you can also use that to get to higher grounds or even try and take out a sniper as well, because she's really good at that too. Another ability that was added in later on, this wasn't included in her base kit when she came out along with 20 other heroes back when the game first came out. Micro missiles. It's pretty much a volley of explosive rockets. It's a direct hit. Each missile does 2. 7.5 damage total. Which pretty much, if you can use this correctly, the rate of fire is 11 shots per second. You can pretty much dish out extra splash damage or even with direct damage. So yeah, a total of 7.5 per hit, like I said before. Just be mindful, you can damage yourself with this too. Finally. You want to nerf this? You are definitely not nerfing this. It's her self-destruct ultimate ability. This may be my personal favorite. I know I've said I had a lot of personal favorites, but this... Well, actually, no. It's still very high up there, I should say. Self-destruct, what this does is pretty simple. It's a 3-second duration before the mech goes boom. Anyone that's very close to this mech when it blows are pretty much dead instantly. It does up to 1,000 damage. And that 1,000 damage it's those closest to the mech. If you can't get a kill with this is very good at pretty much scattering opponents away or create a lot of pressure. This thing is no slouch. This is the reason why it's one of my favorite abilities. You could use this before you get ejected from your mech, or in the middle of ejection, or you could fly it up and send it, or just set it, or just while you're on the ground, just head on out of the mech and just run while your opponents are trying to run away from the exploding mech. I know. It's one of my favorite abilities. What's not to love about this? I'd say the best way to avoid the self-destruct is find cover. Even a barrier will protect you from an opposing self-destruct. And then when you're out of mech, you can just call mech. It's pretty simple. You call a new mech. Back then, this thing would do a little bit of damage, but since recent updates, this thing, if you're too close to Diva and this mech falls down on you, this thing does 250 damage. It is going to instantly kill most non-tanks. But keep in mind, you could be hacked or stunned out of a call mech, or even killed too. And the fun fact about it is, entering mech allows you to escape a graphitic flux. However, it has to be activated beforehand. Finally, we go to her perks. So, what does her minor perks look like? Bunny power, which allows eject to grant 75 temporary overhealth, and call mech's damage radius is increased by 50%. If you're someone who loves to, get some kills with the call mech, Bunny power is a really good one to go with. Another one is extended boosters. So if you're someone who loves to run enemies over with boosters, hitting an enemy with boosters can deal 40% increased damage and extends the duration by 0.5 seconds. So pretty much in a 5v5, that's a maximum 2.5 second extension. Personally, they're both really good, and I really have no preference over the other on this one. Her major perks are a different story. You want to go defensive? Shield system is a good one to go with, which converts 150 health to shields. And keep in mind, shields regenerates before health. And defense matrix restores those shields based on 25% of its damage absorbed. This could really help save your life if you're in a bit of a situation. So pretty much can heal yourself, basically. The other one, Precision Fusion. If you are accurate with this, if you press reload, you press the reload, depending on what platform you're playing on, you can reduce the fusion cannon spread by 75% for 3 seconds. So you could pretty much get the full extent of the fusion cannon's primary fire from a little bit of further distance. Personally, they're both really good. I have to go with shield system on this one because I'm a little more defensive with D.Va, but precision fusion's not a bad thing to go with. Even for 10 years I've been playing D.Va. 10 years! She was #1 in my first anniversary special. She's #2 here. Great reason. She's continues to be a hell of a lot of fun to this day. And for anybody that loves flying in the air, D.Va is a go-to healer, or not healer, tank to go with. Before I go to my #1 favorite hero, I want to take a look at 5 honorable mentions I have on here before we do that. And these are my 5 honorable mentions. They may have not made the top 10, but they came close. They're fun as hell to play as still. And there's why. You got Junkrat, whose theme is explosions, bear trap, riptire, boom. Pretty much that. I enjoy him because he's insane. And just the burst damage you could do with him. Then there's Bastion, who can just shred someone in sentry mode, which he can move ever since this 2.0 era. He initially was unable to do that. However, I bet with time limits now. And you could also, with his major perks, he could either use his old tank configuration from back in the day, or he can heal himself like he used to back in the day. Those got removed during his rework. And then with his ultimate now being artillery strikes, which hard to use, but very rewarding if you can get that. You also got Lucio. He is still overall fun, although new healers have gotten to be more fun lately. But I still have a lot of fun with him. Yeah, I kind of struggled with speaking there. With how much fun he is, area of effect speed boost, or healing, or just boop someone off a map, sound barrier to save your team, or initiate a fight or initiate team fights, or get a head start. What's not to love about Lucio? Besides, this guy's got some good music here too. You also got Orisa, who went through a ton of changes too. Her barrier was replaced with a javelin spin. Her grab attack was now a javelin. The only thing that remained in from her old kit was her fortify, which is like the main thing of Orisa. However, her barrier could come back with a major perk, which will replace her javelin spin. And her ultimate, which used to be a supercharger, is now Terra Surge, which pulls people in, and the more you charge it, the more damage it can do. And that's a lot of fun to do as well. I actually like this Orisa better than the old Orisa. And finally, we have Wrecking Ball, who was one of my favorite new heroes back in the day, back when he was so simple to use. Ever since the nerfs and some reworks, he's gotten a lot harder to use, but I've seen him still be used in professional play, because he can be a monster if used correctly. Especially that, use like adaptive shields to get out of there, roll around, or even deploy a minefield. Which minefield's my personal favorite to use from his kit. Still one of my favorite ults to this day, because step in here, oh, it gets fun, and it boom. But yeah, despite that, these 5 honorable mentions, they may not have made my top 10, but still have an everlasting influence on me. They're fun in their own way. Now, with that, let's find out who my number one favorite hero is. And now, we've made it to the end. We're at the number one of my top 10. My favorite hero from the first 10 years of Overwatch. And let me tell you, this hero, I cannot go an Overwatch session without playing this hero. For those who've watched me a lot, you may already know. But for those who haven't watched much, it's time I reveal the number one hero, or rather my top favorite hero of the first 10 years of Overwatch. And that is Kiriko. A vigilante slash yokai member from Kanazaka. I am really invested in her lore, along with a fellow member, Mizuki, who's really undercover. But yeah, there's so much potential for her character to shine in the lore. And she's fun, and gameplay wise, she's fun as a healer, aided by the Kitsune spirit, throws Suzus to her allies, kunais against her enemies. And yeah, and I'm gonna get to more of reason why she's the most fun hero I've ever gotten to play as in these first 10 years. And we'll go over all that as I start saying she is a medic, just like with Mercy and Moira before her. 40% of healing she deals, heals herself as well. And just like the Shimada brothers, she has the ability to wall climb. But she can only do that up to a second, but can travel up to 8.25 meters per second. Her main weapon is Healing Ofuda, a burst of healing talismans that can seek targeted allies. It's 13 per talisman. You got 2 volleys of them. And it's 26 per burst. So that's 2 of each. So 10. So you pretty much can do almost a lot of healing from that. So it's 182 per second while firing at this rate. Her secondary fire is the kunai. Each kunai does 60 damage. Double damage, of course, is 120 per second. Or 120 per kunai. It's 220 per second while firing without critical hits. And the projectile speed being 90 meters per second. There's a reason why getting eliminations with the Kiriko is my favorite way to get elims, because getting kunai kills is extremely satisfying, especially when that kill shot is a headshot. That dopamine rush I enjoy there. Her abilities, she only has 2, but when used correctly, she could be a nuisance. One of them is her swift step. With the 27-second cooldown, she has a 0.25 second invulnerability. Well, I think that's no longer the case as of an update. No, wait, that was cleanse. Her swift step used to cleanse, but it can no longer do that as of this update, as of recent updates. But even then, you could still use that to escape certain situations or to get close to a battle to save someone's life. And it can target allies through walls, which is a very nice thing to have on there. However, you cannot use that when you're under a movement lock effect, such as Steel Trap, Graffitic Flux, or Graviton Search. Her other ability is why people think she's so overpowered. It's Protection Suzu. You throw this protective charm, you make allies become briefly invulnerable and cleansed of most negative effects. It does 80 healing and gives you 0.65 seconds of invulnerability, which could be enough to turn the tide of a battle your way. This thing, if you can time your Suzus correctly, you could pretty much make everything your opponents have tried to do all for nothing. One of the best healing tools in the game for that reason. And it's one of my personal favorite abilities from anybody in this game. So negative abilities such as Hack, Orb of Discord, Captive Sun, which was the name I forgot about from Iliari's, which, like I said, could absorb that from Defense Matrix. But anyways, we're talking Protection Suzu. However, you can't remove being knocked down by this or Movement Trap. So just keep that in mind. Finally, I've said I had personal favorite abilities, but this has to be my absolute favorite ultimate ability in the game. And that is Kiriko's ultimate ability known as Kitsune Rush, where you summon a fox spirit called the Kitsune, which rushes forward, which accelerates the movement, attack speed, and cooldowns of allies that follow its path. Its duration is 8 seconds, with a lingering of 1 second when you leave the area. Gives a movement speed of a 30% boost, with 50% reload and attack speed increase, and recharge rates are doubled, which, like I said, persists for a second after leaving the area. However, you need to be careful when activating this ult, because it'll completely stop if it collides with terrain under certain conditions. So basically just be careful with that. Ice Wall, Maze Ice Wall, and Cryo Freeze Tree of Life can block this too. And don't forget, Bob can also receive the benefits of Kitsune Rush. Deployable stuff like turrets and Riptires don't receive the benefits, however. And so many times than not, a Kitsune Rush can turn the tide of a battle your way. Use it with someone else's ultimate ability, like Reaper's Death Blossom goes faster and can pretty much tear opponents to shreds. Finally, we get to her perks. And she has a lot of good ones, and I enjoy these. Minor perks do include Urgent Care, which healing of Fuda projectile speed is increased by 50% when seeking critical health allies. So that's pretty much when you see the indicator of critical health. So that's from 30 to 42 meters per second. And the other is Fortune Teller. Kunai hits launch 2 healing of Fudas to an ally in front of you. If you're really good at using your kunais, this would be the one for you. Personally, I like to heal more with Kiriko, so I go with Urgent Care for this one, because the faster speed, giving me more healing output per second, could really be a difference maker. Then you got your major perks with her. Ready Step causes her Swift Step to grant her, or let me rephrase that. Yeah, it causes Kiriko to have the Swift Step grant her 40% increased attack and reload speed for 3 seconds. That's if you want to reload and all that. And then the other is Foxtrot. Protection user grants your allies 30% increased movement speed for 4 seconds. Personally, they're both good, but I gotta go with Foxtrot because when you're cleansing your allies of negative effects and even yourself, that 30% increased movement speed could pretty much help you is pretty much either escape or make yourself harder to be hit by opponents. And let me tell you this. These combinations could really help turn the tide of a battle. The reason why, yeah, I have enjoyed playing Kiriko ever since she came out on October 4th of 2022. 35th Hero added, she came out when the 2.0 era came out. Like I think I mentioned that before. If not, well, there it is. The sass, the savagery, of her voice lines. Just how much fun she is. There is a very, very good reason why I have her as the #1 hero that I enjoy ever since 2022. And like I said, I could not go one Overwatch session without playing her, because she's so much fun. Like, even though she's been through a lot of nerfs, she remains my all-time favorite hero. And let me tell you, she's fun if you know how to use her. She's perhaps one of the best healers in the game if used correctly, because she could pretty much ruin your opponent's day in the right circumstances. And all of that is the very, very reason why Kiriko tops my list. This has been my Overwatch 10th anniversary special. Thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed seeing my 10 favorite heroes on here. If you enjoyed this and want to see more of this, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel today? Follow me on Twitch and others. And if you really enjoy these videos, why not hit the like button? Add it to your favorites. Share with your friends on social media. I still cannot believe 10 years have passed since Overwatch first came out. I was really enjoying this when I was in my early 20s. And finally having a good video game to enjoy constantly. But yeah, 10 years later and it's still going strong. Maybe at one of its best eras in a long time right now. And I cannot wait to enjoy what's to come. New maps, new heroes. I'm enjoying heroes like Onron and Jetpack Cat. Yes, I enjoy Jetpack Cat. And even Domina. Sierra's a good one. And we got 4 more heroes to look forward to this year as of this video. Who knows? Maybe the next 10 years will go better. Maybe I do a 20th anniversary, maybe a 15th, maybe a 20th anniversary special. Who knows? The future is looking bright. But yeah, I guess with that is it. Whatever it brings. And I will part ways with these words that Overwatch always will say. The future is now. Are you with us?